all is quiet here at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center as New Orleans Saints training camp has come to a close. I am Todd Graffagnini. This is Erin Summers, but all the training camp practices, the joint practices up in Green Bay, 3 preseason games are complete. Erin, what are your overall thoughts of what you've seen out here in the last month?
I think that it was a very good camp across the board for head coach Dennis Allen in his first year as the head coach. It was really business as usual. It was smooth in and out of every practice. They were efficient. They definitely maximized their time, and we were able to see a lot of good work between the practices here against Green Bay for everybody on this football team.
Yeah, and look, the big storyline, it usually is for all NFL teams, is who is going to play quarterback. Well, Jameis Winston had a very interesting offseason coming off the ACL surgery, but his rehab had gone very, very well. He practiced for most of OTAs, mini camp, and then a couple of weeks into training camp had that sprained right foot. But Erin, the good news is he was able to rehab from that, come back and actually get a series in the final preseason game against the Chargers.
Jameis Winston looked really good in his only live work that he's had. So we'll see how he's able to translate the work that he got in training camp into the regular season. But if that drive, the first drive against the Chargers, it was a 75-yard, 9-play drive that ended in a touchdown to Mark Ingram. And I think that Jameis Winston is just happy to be back.
I can't wait to step back on the field and compete some more. Because one thing I know, that I would not take this opportunity for granted ever. Again, and I'm just grateful to have that chance to go out there and stress some people, throw some touchdowns, win some football games.
It was good to have Jameis back, but also, Erin, very, very comforting to know that for whatever reason, if Winston is not able to go, you've got Andy Dalton as your backup quarterback, who literally was perfect in the preseason.
Quarterback Andy Dalton comes in for his 12th year in the NFL. He started 9 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's been a multi-year Pro Bowler. Head coach Dennis Allen said to solidify a backup of that caliber is going to be huge for this football team, and we saw that in the way that he played this preseason. He was 10 of 10. He had 2 touchdown drives, very efficient and very effective. Here's Dalton's thoughts on this Saints team.
I've been on some good teams, and this is definitely, on paper, one of the better teams that I've been on, and so. Yeah, I think the expectation here are in the right place, and we'll see where this thing takes us.
Well, Erin, last year wide receiver wasn't what you would call the strongest position. That has changed a bunch in the offseason. Of course, Michael Thomas participated in most of camp, but bringing in a Jarvis Landry, drafting a Chris Olave has strengthened this position. Tight end options, obviously Taysom Hill has moved from quarterback to tight end. We saw him get some reps, especially in that Green Bay game. And then you've got an Adam Troutman who is coming on strong. He missed the last couple of weeks, but he should be ready to go for the regular season. Could that be a position, Erin, where maybe you can start counting on some guys? Because, again, it was a little bit of an iffy situation a year ago.
Taysom Hill is still getting comfortable in that tight end role, and it will continue as he dealt with some health issues throughout the offseason and training camp. But he's definitely learning the techniques of what it means to be a tight end, and including some blocking there. Somebody that's been a very good blocker for this team, Adam Troutman, Nick Vannett. So they have some good options. It'll be interesting to see how that group evolves over this season for sure.
All right, let's talk running game, and that should be covered with Alvin Kamara, who we did see against the Chargers. He looked as fast and as quick and as shifty as ever in his limited amount of touches. And then Mark Ingram scores a couple of touchdowns against the Chargers. Running back should not be an issue, though. Who is going to back those guys up will be something to watch in the next couple of weeks.
It's good to note, however, throughout the preseason games, the Saints led the NFL in rushing yards per game at 141.3. So the ability is there. It's just who is it going to come from? And Mark Ingram says all the pieces are there.
And just being a great organization with a great team who has a great culture, I think that the foundation is set. We have a team that can, make a lot of noise.
Well, finally, Erin, as we look at the offensive line, we saw rookie left tackle Trevor Penning take the majority of the snaps with the first team the last couple of weeks. We know that's going to change now as Penning went down in that Chargers game for an indefinite amount of time. Do we see James Hurst come back? That is going to be a big key.
Definitely the only area on the offense right now that you might have a question mark around is the offensive line depth. They were hit a couple times throughout camp with some minor injuries, and then, as you mentioned, that injury to Penning, which looks like he might be out indefinitely.
Time to talk a little Saints D. Look, they've been the storyline really from day one of camp. They, at times, dominated the New Orleans Saints offense, but that's really been the MO under defensive coordinator Dennis Allen the last couple of years here.
Dennis Allen has had this defense running like a well-oiled machine. Last year, they were 4th in the league against the run. They were very good across the board. However, this year, everyone on the defensive side of the ball feels like they have the ability to be even better this season.
And here's Cam Jordan talking about how good this defense can be.
I know that we want to be the strength of this team regardless of how high of an octane of an offense that we have. I do know that, we still want things to accomplish on our defense. We want to create more turnovers. We want to be, the number one run-stopping defense year in and year out. We want to, lead the league in interceptions, sacks, etc. We have such a high ceiling, and yet we still have even higher goals that we want to accomplish.
Well, Erin, another big key to this defensive line is going to be the health of Marcus Davenport, and by September 11th on opening day, he should be good to go in the regular season.
All signs point to the fact that defensive end Marcus Davenport will be ready to go after that shoulder surgery that he had earlier this year. He started participating in some team drills. He's definitely continuing to work on his conditioning, but Dennis Allen felt good about the fact that he'll be back on this football team pretty soon. All
right, let's talk linebackers now. We talked about Demario Davis. He is the captain of this defense. The big question is who will play alongside him. Originally, it's Pete Werner. Now, we have not seen Pete Werner in a couple of weeks. He's been nursing a groin injury pretty much the entire training camp. They brought guys in to see who can fill that role. That is really the only question mark, Erin, of this Saints defense.
It's going to start to get a little iffy depending on that injury. Who comes in behind Werner? Is it going to be one of the players that they shuffled in during training camp? Is it going to be somebody that we've seen there before in Caden Ellis, Andrew Dowell? Eric Wilson made a strong case for it during the last few preseason games. Definitely an area to keep an eye on.
Cornerback appears to be a position that Saints fans should not have to worry about at all. Marshawn Lattimore on one side, and arguably the MVP of Saints training camp, Paulson Adebo, on the other side. You got a couple of lockdown corners going at it out there.
Corner Paulson Adebo was impressive his rookie season and looks to elevate his game in year 2. Every single practice during training camp, Adebo had a pass breakup. That speaks to the consistency that we're seeing out of him and something we hope continues during the regular season.
Well, safety is another position, Erin, that appears to be well stocked. Even though you lost Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams in the offseason, you signed Marcus May, you signed Tyrann Mathieu. Those two guys have played a lot in the last couple of weeks trying to get that communication together. Here is the Honey Badger on the safety situation.
Really just trying to gel together. And most of this is just committing to each other. I think all of us are really good athletes, and we all are pretty smart for the most part. It's just taking that next step and committing to your teammates. And that's what usually brings out the best, in the group.
Finally, Erin, we've talked offense, defense. Let's talk a little special teams, and I think everything is just fine there with the return of Will Lutz at place kicker and Blake Gillikin at punter, who had a brilliant camp along with Will Lutz.
Will Lutz at one point, I think, was 49 of 51 and made field goal, extra point attempts. So he was doing very well coming back from that injury, and it's a good sight to see for everybody on the football field and all of us Saints fans.
I feel like I've had my best camp here in 7 years, and I'm confident with the way I'm kicking. I don't put any more pressure on myself from kick to kick. I live for those moments. That's why I do what I do. And that's why we signed up to be kickers, to have that pressure on us, and whenever that comes, I'll be ready.
Well, Erin, all the talking is complete. We've heard from the players, we've heard from the coaches, you've heard from the analysts, and now it's the New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons on September 11th at noon.
We know the expectations are very high on this Saints team, but if you talk to people around, it seems like they aren't quite sure what the Saints are going to be able to do this season, maybe undervaluing them a little bit. And that's okay for the Saints. They have all said they're fine playing that underdog role. Everybody has the same goal at this point in the season, and it's who puts in the work and then the outcome on the field that's really going to matter.
All 32 teams, when this thing first starts, has the same goal. Think the same thing, you know, and I think for us, what DA has done a great job of is just making sure that we take it one day at a time. Every day, just lock in, reset, you know, and hopefully when we look up sometime in February, is a trophy above our head.
We had a great time doing this, and hopefully we will have an even better regular season. For Erin Summers, I'm Todd Graffagnini. Thank you so much for joining us on the New Orleans Saints Training Camp Wrap-Up Show